If you guys watched my most recent video, you saw we discussed some of Fortnite's most forgettable items, and today we're going to continue that with a part 2 to that video and discuss more of the most forgotten items slash weapons in Fortnite history. And just like last video, this video is going to continue with taking information from you guys in my community posts and using that to form these videos. So if you haven't seen part 1, go check that out first and then come back to this video. But if you have, let's get right into it. And I'm going to start this video with arguably the most forgotten weapon in Fortnite history, with the Ripsaw launcher. And I believe that this weapon was introduced in Chapter 3, Season 3. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it was probably the worst weapon in Fortnite history. I would definitely put it in the bottom 5 for sure. And the Ripsaw launcher basically just shot out saw blades that would tear through builds, and it could also be used as a melee weapon and could even harvest materials for the player. And the Ripsaw did 60 damage a shot and then 8 melee damage if you were standing right next to them with the saw. But again, it used saw ammo, so you couldn't get saws outside of the weapon's reserve. So once you ran out, you were done. That was it. And it's simply forgettable because it sucks. It was not good. It will probably never come back, and it hasn't come back since then. And so for these reasons, I think that it is absolutely one of the most forgettable weapons of all time. I sure forgot about it before I was looking what you guys said on my community posts. And also, it was barely in the game. It was only in the game for, I believe, a couple updates. I think it was introduced in V21.10 and then taken out in the beginning of Chapter 3, Season 4. So yeah, just totally forgettable for many, many reasons. And another just totally forgettable weapon is actually going to be the Gorgers from Chapter 2, Season 4, but when you pick them up, they're known as the Gatherers. And so it wasn't actually the Gorger that you were using as the weapon, as that was kind of the main boss, but the Gatherers around the outside, once defeated, could then be picked up and used as a weapon. It was super weird and super unique, and absolutely will never come back. It's super unique to the Marvel season and that whole storyline. And I don't even think anybody really used this weapon at all. I think most people just kind of shot them, finished them off, and then went to get the loot from the main Gorger. But honestly, if you never played Chapter 2 Season 4, I would not expect you to know what these are or even knew that they were a thing. Again, it's super niche to this season, and if you remember these things being in the game, let me know in the comment section, because I definitely forgot until I was told. So yeah, totally forgettable. Can't blame you if you didn't know that they were in the game. And yeah, let's move on to the next selection. Probably the most controversial pick of this video, and definitely something that, if you remember him, you definitely loved him, and it's Klombo from Chapter 3. But you can't really deny that Klombo is kind of forgotten. I mean, he was only in the game for a couple updates in Chapter 3 Season 1, and then after that he was taken out forever and has never come back. And I don't really understand why. I thought Klombo was super unique and such a cool part of Chapter 3 that it kind of baffles me why they ever took him out and still have not added him back. And for those of you who don't know, Klombo was just basically a big wild animal that would just roam the map. That's it. He would just walk around the map, and he was huge. He was the size of a building. He was massive, and he was super unique. You could stand on top of him and move, as he moves. The Klombo, you could feed it with clomberries, and that would make him do specific things. You could stand on the blowhole, and you could get glider redeploy. There's all this type of cool stuff. You could give him an exotic weapon. He would give you a legendary back. That type of stuff. And you could even use him against your opponents. He would get angry if you shot him. You could shoot him, and then he would attack the closest person. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that's how it worked, if I remember correctly. But again, it's so forgettable because he was barely in the game. So yeah, I absolutely loved Klombo, but I feel like you can't deny that since he was in the game for such a short period of time, and we've never seen an ounce of any type of Klombo even potentially coming back, yeah, he has gone forgotten, unfortunately. For my next selection, I'm actually going to go with probably the most commented item on this list today, and that's going to be the Hunter's Cloak from the Primal Season, Chapter 2, Season 6. I could honestly put a ton of items from this season on the list, but I specifically think the Hunter's Cloak is the most forgettable out of all of them. All this item did was just stop the animal AI wildlife that was roaming around the map from detecting your movement, which allowed you to tame them. And the cloak could only be obtained by crafting using 4 pieces of meat. And I think it's forgettable for one main reason. That's because it's basically useless. It allowed you to do a couple things. I mean, you could kill frogs, which you didn't really need. You could grab chickens more easily, I guess, because they won't run away. It allowed you to get closer to animals like boars and wolves. I mean, again, why would you ever want this? And so I think it is really cool, as it kind of fits the season perfectly in the theme, but it's never going to come back. It should never come back because, to be quite honest with you, I think it sucks. So yeah, definitely one of the most forgettable items of all time. Next, let's discuss smoke grenades from the early state of Fortnite, and that would be all the way back to the beginning of Chapter 1. And I do actually believe smoke grenades are one of the few items on this list that have actually returned since then, but it's just been so long that most players forgot that smoke grenades even existed in Fortnite. And essentially, the problem was players were just kind of spamming smoke grenades that were literally impossible to see through. I'm going to try and find gameplay, so hopefully I can, so you guys can see that they were literally impossible to see through. If you play COD or any other games, you know, sometimes you can get a one-way smoke, you know, stay in the smoke, kind of see out of it. No, you could not see through it. You could not see when you're inside of it. It literally made it impossible. And so, of course, Fortnite had to take it out, and it has never made a return in Battle Royale. I believe in LTMs, potentially it has come back. I feel like I'm remembering it being in the game. But yeah, again, another one that you guys commented a bunch, and I had to throw on this list. For my final selection of this video, I'm going to go with the Spire Jump Boots from Chapter 2, Season 6. And as I previously mentioned, there's a ton more from Chapter 2, Season 6 that I could put on here because I feel like that season was a total mess and forgettable in itself. But yeah, I'm going to go with these Spire Jump Boots. And firstly, they were mythic, which means they were hard to get, and there was only, to my knowledge, 1 pair available on the map at a time. So for that reason, most players, even that played the season, never got the opportunity to use them. And it wasn't like you could just open a chest and get these jump boots. No, you had to eliminate a Spire Guardian at a Guardian Tower, and then once the Guardian is eliminated, they would drop a runestone, which you then had to carry to the Spire POI, and then you had to put the runestone into select areas at the base, and then the boots would spawn in front of you. You see the problem here. All the boots did was just allow glider redeploy when you jumped 3 times in a row. So it wasn't like you just jump and you could just glider redeploy. No, you have to jump once, jump twice, and then jump a 3rd time in a row just to get glider redeploy. So they were not good. They were an absolute disaster to try and get, and they were just not practical at all. So again, a weapon or item in this case, that is hard to get, not good, and not practical is going to be forgettable, and that's exactly what we see happening here with the Spire Jump Boots. So yeah, that is it. This is my entire part 2 for Fortnite's most forgettable items and weapons of all time. Let me know in the comment section, did you remember any of these? Did you forget any of these? I'm super interested to see what you guys think. Be sure to subscribe, of course, for all new Chapter 5 Season 3 content that's going to be coming out in just a couple days' time. I will be pumping out content. I'm super excited. But with all that said, of course, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.